So I want to start off today's show a little bit differently with a story here. So it is the summer of 2013. I am at Greg Kubek basketball camp. For those of you from upstate New York that listen to the show, is this somewhat prestigious basketball camp that happens every summer. The overnight camp is the highlight of the summer for a lot of kids, growing up playing sports in that area. At Brant Lake, which is this kind of remote campgrounds that there's this awesome basketball camp at every year. And so summer of 2013, I'm having a conversation on the main court with today's guest, Joe Cremo. And I'm asking you, Joe, because we had played together for a couple of years, played against each other for a couple of years, knew each other very well. And I asked you, what was your dream? What was your goal? Because it was obvious, you had won like 20 state championships with Scotia Glenville High School by that point. Knew you were going to go Division I, the hardest, like the best work ethic I've ever seen. I know how much you love basketball and how much, how many heroes you have in it, how long you've been playing it, how much it means to you. So I knew you had big dreams and aspirations. And so I asked you, what was the dream? You said, looked me straight in the eye and said, the goal is to get to the NBA. Now, the realist in me would say, listen, you're from Scotia Glenville, New York. This small area, small school, yes, we produce Kevin Huerter and a couple other big names, but we're not a factory of NBA talent like other areas in the country are. You're athletic, but you're not supremely athletic. You're a good shooter, but you're not an elite shooter, but you have this insane work ethic. And if there's anyone that I believe can overcome all of that, it is you, Joe. And so you've been all around the world at this point, 3 seasons at UAlbany after winning 20 championships at Scotia, a season at Villanova, a season with the Long Island Nets, which is the Brooklyn Nets G League team, which is the NBA's developmental league. And you are now playing professionally overseas in Spain. And so with all that said, it is an honor to welcome to you. It's good to see you, Joe. How are you, buddy?
Everything's going good. I appreciate you having me.
Yes, sir. So I kind of want to, I ask everyone, how are you? But I actually mean like, how are you doing? And I don't mean in the basketball sense. I'm sure you're doing great. You're crushing it with your team. I am curious, though. Anyone who knows you knows how much of a homebody you are, knows how much home means to you, how much your home friends mean to you. Your home friends, your teammates are still your best friends to this day. Your family means everything to you. You were very close with your grandma who, passed away a couple years ago. How are you doing living in another country during a very uncertain time in the world? How are you managing all of that?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely been, a couple of years ago when I had the opportunity to try and, come overseas or maybe take a G League opportunity, and I took the G League opportunity. I don't know if I was mentally ready to, go over to another country, live by myself. And then, after the G League opportunity went by, and then, the year with the pandemic kind of settled in, and just thought to myself, like, if I really want to make a career out of it, maybe, I'm going to have to take the route of going overseas. And if I can end up coming back one day, like, that's great. But everything, now, like when I left, of course it was hard leaving family, friends, my girlfriend, like all that stuff was hard, but I'm definitely in a better like mental space where now I'm like comfortable out here. And luckily I've been blessed with a great situation where my teammates really welcomed me with like open arms, coach, and then my roommate who speaks fluent English. So that definitely helped. Nice. But he's been like my best friend out here. So I've been really lucky in the situation I was in for my first year playing over here.
So you haven't really gotten lonely at all?
No, I mean, there's times, obviously, the time difference is tough being 6 hours ahead. And, sometimes when I'm going to bed and my friends are just getting out of work from home and, I want to talk to them, but I can only talk for, 30 minutes before I got to go to bed. So it's tough sometimes, but I really don't. I mean, these guys, like I said, my teammates and my roommate has made the transition really easy for me.
Now, how are you doing on the basketball court? I mean, it's obviously the rules are a little bit different than how you've grown up playing in America. Yeah. It's hard to equate European sports, the way that soccer operates, the way that basketball operates. There's not really a fair comparison to America just based on the way that the leagues are tiered. So competition wise, what has the adjustment been like? How are you doing out there?
Yeah, it's definitely more of a physical game for sure. They let a lot more go. I feel like the offensive players like aren't as protected, like as for say when I was in the G League, you know, it's a lot more like isolation and, you know, any hands on anything's a foul. But like here, it's very physical. You're coming off screens. You're definitely getting hit like once or twice for sure. But I've adjusted to it. And I think like in the beginning, it was a little bit of a transition. Plus I hadn't played, you know, like an organized team in like a year with the pandemic. You know, working out is working out, but it's different when you're on the court playing 5-on-5. So definitely an adjustment, but I think now I've got a lot more comfortable, like got my confidence going, and our team's playing well. So we're 7-1 right now and tied for first, and we actually play that team this weekend. So we're looking forward to it.
So I think anyone who is an American sports fan is vaguely aware of how you get to the NBA. You go to college. If you're really good, you get drafted to an organization. If you're good, maybe you don't get drafted, then you get signed kind of as a free agent, or you can go overseas for a year. That's starting to be like a LaMelo Ball, go overseas for a year and then get drafted again. But I have no idea how you get signed to a European team. It's obviously, like, I'm sure, a completely different way of getting signed overseas. So how did you get this opportunity?
It's definitely a little bit of a process, but like after I went with the G League for a year, you know, I ended up signing with an agent, Jeff Allen, who's actually good friends with the Huerters, and Tom Huerter, actually, young Tom, actually put me in contact with Jeff. And once I got in contact with Jeff was saying to me, you know, we'll be able to get you an opportunity. And it was good to hear, you know, the confidence that, like, you know, even though your stats weren't, you know, amazing and at Villanova your last year or the G League, like, you know, you put up, you know, 6-7 points a game, whatever it was. I mean, he still thought he could get me a good opportunity. And, you know, he reached out to probably 10, 15 teams, you know, and then he got in contact with like 4 or 5 offers, like coming back. And the money was all about the same. It was more about the basketball opportunity for me, and where the best chance of me, like if I play well and my team wins, you know, can I move up? Like if I'm in Spain and I play well, can I move up to the next, you know, Leb Gold instead of out of Leb Silver? And then, or is there another country with different opportunities? So there's a lot of different doors that it can go, you know, so it's a little bit of a process, but I ended up signing with Zornotza in end of July, like beginning of August. And then I had to get a work visa so that I could come out here.
Gotcha. Okay. So what exactly is your day-to-day looking like over there?
It depends. Like a lot of times we'll have 2 practices. We'll have like one like lighter practice in the morning, come back, and then it's like a more 5-on-5 at night type of thing where we're practicing more of our sets, like running up and down. So 2 practices normally, you know, a lift in between there. We don't have to lift as a team, which is different. So you got to lift on your own and find time for that. But it's a lot of free time, honestly. Like I have my practices and then, you know, my lift, and that's about it. And then it's just rest and take care of yourself and hanging out off the court with teammates and stuff. Don't really have any other responsibilities besides basketball. So it's nice.
That's probably your dream though.
Yeah. Definitely can't complain.
Yeah. Are you taking any time to, because I know this is your first time out of the country, are you taking any time to just kind of soak up another culture and, you know, do things out on the town, go see the whatever you can during COVID times, museums and restaurants and such?
Yeah. So, I mean, the food, like trying different food and stuff here, and definitely a little different, but adjusted to it, and it's nice. And gone to Bilbao, which is like the big city around here, like 20 minutes away, to go see, you know, a soccer match and an ACB game with Bilbao, which is ACB being the top league in Spain. And then gone to like a couple like beaches and stuff here just to like check it out. Stuff. The weather was too cold to, you know, go in or anything, but it's nice here. It's nice to try and get around, travel a little bit. And yeah, I mean, there's so many things like close by, like France is only like an hour away.
Yeah,
so
it's crazy, right?
You know what I mean? So yeah, there's a lot around for sure.
I've had a couple people, because I'm a somewhat adventurous person. I've had a couple people ask me, "Oh, would you ever live in?" Because I studied in Scotland for a couple of years, hence the Scottish flag right here. Like, would you ever go back to Scotland? Would you live there? Would you live in Ireland? So I love there too. Would you live in Italy? It sounds great. Like, it sounds a lot of fun, but there's so many. It's so different because I think about all the all the legal things that you have to go through to try to make that happen. Like, I couldn't tell you the first thing about trying to find a place to live over there. How did you go about living where you are right now? How did you find a place?
Yeah, luckily the team helped me with all that stuff. So when I came here, they had,
clutch.
somebody pick me up at the airport, and then it was just like, this is your apartment right here. And Alberto, who's my roommate, he's upstairs, and they just gave me the keys and I walked in.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, I didn't have to do anything.
Oh, not bad.
Yeah, they take care of you here. I mean, like I said, it's being the third league in Spain, it's like the budget that they have is definitely lower than a top league in Spain or even the second division, but they still take care of our food, our housing, and stuff like that. So it's definitely a nice spot for my first year, just trying to make the most of it.
So how long do you have an idea of how long you'll be there?
Yeah, the season goes from, like I said, I was here in September, and then it goes till the last game regular season is April 10th. And then depending on how far you go in playoffs, then probably could go another month, like middle of May, closer to the end of May.
Okay. So then whenever the season ends, you come back home.
Yeah, come back home for a few months, and then, hopefully get another opportunity somewhere and then head back.
Gotcha. Okay. So do you sign a contract? Like, you're not on a 3-year deal or something?
No, it's like a 1-year contract. And then like they do like promotions out here. So like, say if our team finished first this year and won the championship, then our team could, if we wanted to, be promoted to the second division.
Gotcha.
And then they could sign me back or whatever. So we'll see what happens after this year. But, right now, just trying to enjoy like the day by day. I know it sounds like kind of cliche, but it really is like nice being with like a team that's so focused on winning. And, like I said, we're 7-1 right now, and just trying to keep that going.
So before this, you were with the Nets, the Long Island Nets, and then the pandemic happened. How did you get, kind of the same question, how did you get the opportunity with the Long Island Nets? How did that come about?
Yeah, I got, after I left Villanova, I had 3 workouts with the Wizards, the Sixers, and then the Nets, and worked out with the Wizards first, then the Sixers, and then the Nets were the last one. And when I went there for my workout, I actually had like a really, really good day, like made like every shot I took, was playing like good defense, like all that stuff. Like, and it just felt like a really good day. And I was like, you know what, hopefully something comes of it. And I always believed, I could at least try and make a G League roster, but didn't know if like summer league or something would pop up for me, especially not being a guy that was like, going to get drafted out of college. It was like, how can you kind of find your way in? So then after I worked out with the Nets, one of their guys texted my agent at the time and said like, we'd love to have our Joe with our G League team. And so we asked about summer league, and that didn't happen. And then the G League opportunity, I went down for training camp. I was actually the last pick of the G League draft.
Oh,
so it was like 4 rounds in the draft. And I thought I was going to go in like one of like the top 2, they told me, like the top 2 rounds. So after their second round, I didn't get picked. I'm like, oh, this is weird. And then the third round, they didn't have a pick. The fourth round, they had the last pick of the draft. So I'm like, ooh, this is a long wait. And then luckily I got picked last pick in the draft. I'm like, all right, I got my shot. So go down for training camp for a week. Again, like have like a really, really good week, make shots, all this stuff. And then the last day they cut me. So as I go home for about a month, just working out. And I actually called Coach Wright to see if I can get back with them on like kind of their staff, like see if I can get a GA spot and work on my master's degree. And Coach was all for it. They had like housing and stuff for me set up. And then like a week before I was about to go to Villanova, Long Island started their season like 2-7 or something. And then they called me and were like, yeah, we feel like we made a mistake. We want you to come back. I'm like, all right. So I go back to the Nets for about 2-3 months. And I was playing like a good amount in the beginning. And when they started bringing guys down from Brooklyn, didn't play as much. And then the pandemic happened. So it was a roller coaster, just a lot of ups and downs,
Yeah. So during all of that, how do you, when you think that the opportunity has passed you by and then you are playing, again, riding the roller coaster, how do you stay positive, stay motivated about, your dream of making the NBA?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's just always been that dream of just trying to like keep working no matter what. And then Villanova actually really helped me with that at the time. It was like I was playing a good amount in the beginning, and then I wasn't playing as much towards the end of the season. And for a lot of people back home, they didn't understand why. And that's okay, because a lot of people that aren't in it don't understand like what goes on in a college basketball program. So but they always talk about attitude there at Villanova. That's like their big thing is attitude. Just keeping that positive attitude no matter what, ups and downs. If you're shooting well, if you're not shooting well, if you're playing well, your teammates are playing well, just trying to keep a positive attitude. And that's kind of what I did. Like when I got cut, I'm like, you know what, I can complain, I can sulk about it, it's not going to help. Kind of took a day and then just got right back after it. And luckily, I got the call back. And when I came back, played pretty well, and we were winning. And then they brought guys down from Brooklyn. We had a chance to make the playoffs. And then once those guys came down, they take all the minutes basically. And that's fine. Just, now you got to adjust being a role guy off the bench and, maybe not playing some games and then just trying to be a good teammate. So lots of ups and downs, throughout my college career. And it was a lot different. Like once you leave high school, go through college and, you deal with stuff. But now I feel like I'm in a good place.
I don't know what the relationship is like between the pro team and the G League team. How much contact were you having with the Nets? How many chances were there to be seen by the coaches, the players, the front office people and such?
Yeah, I mean, we probably went over to Brooklyn to practice like with like their like second string type guys like Theo Pinson at the time. I'm trying to think, Nick Claxton, who plays like with the team a lot now. I'm trying to think who else. It doesn't matter, but we went over there to practice like probably twice a week with Brooklyn, like their team, and their whole front office and stuff would be there and scrimmage with those guys and everything. And it was cool. It was our offense with Long Island was like the same as Brooklyn. So they try and mirror it so that if they call guys up, it's the same thing. And yeah, I mean, we spent a lot of time over in Brooklyn. They would even come down, like some of their front office guys would come to Long Island and talk to some of our guys. And it was cool. It was definitely a cool experience. Different for sure, but I definitely appreciated my time there.
So you referenced Villanova a couple of times, and it sounds like Jay Wright, who's the coach of Villanova, has been there forever, is widely considered to be, one of the greatest of all time. Villanova is one of the best programs in the country, year in, year out, a couple of championships in the last decade. You mentioned attitude is kind of the mantra of the program. What else did you kind of take away from that season at Villanova?
Yeah. Trying to think, there's a lot of stuff, but I mean, I would say at the end of the day, it was just about like thinking of the team before yourself and then just buying into something bigger than yourself. And then at the end of the day, a lot of the stuff wasn't even about basketball. It was just about trying to be like a better man, like on and off the court. And then they always look out for me. I don't know how to explain it. It's kind of, what I always wanted, be able to go back to a program whenever I want to watch games or be in contact with those guys. Like they still reach out to me, for alumni events and stuff like that. So really cool, really appreciative of them because I mean, they didn't have to. I was only there for a year and it's not like I was a 4-year guy and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I would just say the things that I took away the most were just buying into something bigger than yourself and trying to just be a better person, like on and off the court. It wasn't even really about basketball all the time, but obviously basketball, I guess if you want to talk about that, just playing extremely hard, like no matter what, for 40 minutes, trying to give it, you're all on both ends, no matter what. So
I talk a lot on the show about imposter syndrome. The show is kind of about like young people, trying to figure out life, as we all go forward. And so the common thing that happens is, we're young people thrust in some big situation, whether that's on a basketball court, whether that's in the meeting room, like we're talking to people who are way above us, making more money than us, more years of experience than us. And so I'm curious, did you ever feel, or have you ever felt, whether at Villanova or now in Spain, like I'm just this small kid, or I'm just this kid from small town, upstate New York. I don't belong here. I didn't grow up like these people. Have you ever felt that?
Yeah, I mean, I try to put it all in perspective. Like, it's definitely, I'm appreciative, like I said, like where I'm from. Like, I don't think a lot of people get this opportunity. But at the same time, still working out there, because working every day, because, someone out there is always working and trying to take your spot. And at the end of the day, everyone's out here trying to make a career out of it. But no, I'd feel like, definitely lucky where I'm from, like to be where I'm at, but I know I have like a long ways to go still. So,
Yeah.
and I truly believe, I got a long career out of this, and I can make a career out of this. And, I still believe that.
So Jay Wright, one of your mentors, another one of your mentors, Steve D'Agostino, a guy who, isn't active in my life as much as he is for you, but someone that certainly made an impact on my life. I think it's very important for young people, especially as we're just figuring this all out, to have people that we can look up to, that we can go to, who have been through it before, or, have experienced the same things that we are now. So what is the role of Dags in your life now? And, how often are you guys in touch, and what does he tell you, all that stuff?
Yeah. I mean, I would say, like, as I was younger, like more with like the development side of it. And he still helps me like tremendous amount with like my game and like trying to expand it. But even more than that, now we're like so close, like as friends, that it's more about like decisions I'm making like in life. And, he'll just talk to me about whatever it is. And during the pandemic, I was coming in and working out, and like he could kind of sense that I kind of was losing it a little bit, not like mentally, but like maybe my drive like as much, because I didn't really have any opportunities overseas, and I was waiting on it. I didn't have anything with the G League. So he always kept asking me like, what's the next step? And then one time I got a little mad at him, and I'm like, you know what? I don't know. Like maybe I'm not going, like maybe I'm not going to play or whatever, and I'll just get into coaching or whatever. And he was like, I mean, that'd be a shame. Like you got a lot left. And him and Shea Bramirski, who is those two guys have been big role models in my life. And they just said like, you got a lot left in the tank. You got to give it an opportunity before, give it a chance before you say no and kind of hang it up kind of thing. So like I said, it's been a lot of ups and downs, but I appreciate them for like always pushing me. And they still play a big role. I was just talking to both of them last night about, one day I feel like I can play in the ACB and like try and move up, whether it's, in a couple years, 3 years, 4 years, whatever it is, but really trying to set the bar like high, and not settle and sell yourself short.
In that moment with Dags and Shea that you just referenced, was that kind of the first time that you had snapped and said, you know what, maybe I'm not cut out for this?
Yeah. I think it was, it was probably one of those moments where I was just getting, me, I'm an emotional guy.
Yeah.
You know that, like I'll get a little pissed off here and there, maybe
a little bit.
And I just was kind of sick of hearing like, what's the next step? And I'm like, why do you care, kind of thing. And I got kind of selfish for a second, and then it kind of came off like, wow, like I can't believe I really sounded like that. And then I'm like, at the end of the day, these two guys have always been there. They're just looking out for me. So like I shouldn't have snapped like that, but they all know like how competitive I am. And it would have been a shame like if I just didn't try and come overseas and give it a chance. And I never thought about like hanging it up kind of thing, like really thought about it that way, but I was just pissed at the moment and kind of just like, what if I don't want to go overseas? Like maybe there isn't a next step. And I got a little mad, but I'm here now and happy I am.
So is making an NBA roster, is that still the main dream? That is what you're chasing?
I think the dream is just to, at the end of the day, like make a career out of it. Like I said, don't sell myself short and try and set the bar as high as possible, whether it means playing in, a top league out here in Spain and Germany, France, wherever it is. And if an opportunity back home presented itself, of course I would try and take it. I mean, I talked to Kev about it. Mm-hmm. Me and Kev keep in contact, not every day type of thing, but probably like once a month. And we talk to each other, and he's always been a big, not fan of mine, but like me and him have always like really supported each other. And I think sometimes people get caught up thinking, like you were better than him in high school or whatever it was. And it's like, dude, it was a high school. Like, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
The kid, he's a phenomenal talent. Like me and him are good friends. There's no like bad blood or anything. And me and him have talked about it. And he really was giving me a lot of good advice. Like when I was in the G League, and he believed that, as a role guy, like if I could make a roster, like, yeah, like if I play hard enough and all that stuff and all the right cards fall into place, like something good could happen. But I'm kind of getting off on a little strand here or whatever. But
no, I think a lot of people love to hear that.
Yeah, I just think at the end of the day, it's just putting up my all into, whatever it is with basketball, and not settling for anything. Don't sell myself short. And at the end of the day, whatever that opportunity is, if it's the NBA, if it's whatever, France, Germany, Spain, something like that, I can live with that at the end of the day now.
I'm good to hear that I'm glad to hear that because I know how hard you are on yourself. I've seen it up close. So, it's good that you kind of come to the realization that like, I just want to get better every day. I want to make something of this. It doesn't have to be if I never make it to the NBA that I'm a failure,
Yeah. It's not, of course, that's my dream.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always going to be the dream of like coming back, trying to play like in the NBA. But if I don't reach it, knowing that I gave like everything I had, and coming out here to Spain is a part of that. Like if I didn't come out here, I wouldn't know, and never gave it a chance. So just giving that effort is what it's going to matter at the end. So
what's it been like for you watching Kevin have the crazy postseason that he just did, get that huge contract this offseason? What's that been like as a friend?
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, just to like see where he's come from. Like obviously we all knew in high school like how talented he was. It's like, oh, this kid can like really shoot it. But I don't think people understand like how good of a passer he is and like a playmaker and just like what he does to help a team win and like how good a defender he is. Mm-hmm. I mean, you go on, like the list goes on, but he's just such a humble kid that you're never gonna like hear it from him, but it's just to see him like where he is now is it's crazy, but it's awesome. And like I said, like we keep in touch here and there. And I was talking to him on FaceTime this summer, and we were talking about that Philly series, and it was just like he was like, yeah, I mean, they put Seth Curry on me, and I just tried to take advantage of it. Cork Maz was guarding him and stuff. When those guys were guarding him, it was just like try and take advantage of it. And he made the most of his opportunity, and bang, now he's got a new deal, and I don't think it'll be the last deal that he gets. So it's crazy, but I'm really happy for him.
I mean, you guys basically grew up together. I mean, you guys played against each other every year, multiple times for like a decade plus. Yeah. So it's been really cool to see both of you guys grow. Who's more competitive between the two of you? Because in my mind, you two are the most competitive people I've ever met. When I had Kevin on the podcast, I said that like, we would have our open gyms until 9:00 p.m. scheduled to go to 9 p.m. on a weeknight. I have homework to do. Like we're all busy. We're all tired. Yeah. I just want to go home. Kevin's like, no, I'm not leaving until I win, like until my team wins the pickup game. So he's super competitive to the point of annoying. You were also competitive. Who's more competitive?
It's funny because, I wasn't around him like in those practices and stuff. And I feel like that's where a lot of it comes out, like those practices with your team, the guys that you grew up with, all that stuff. But I would say me at the end of the day.
I believe
but no, obviously he's a great competitor. I just think people see me and then they see Kevin, they see me, I'm like crazy. That's what people think of with me is like, oh, he's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy competitive. Kev's a little more controlled, but super competitive.
Kind of on that subject. I mean, you are so driven. You are so goal oriented. And me and you have always kind of seen eye to eye. Like you were much more talented than me, a much harder worker than me. But I think we've always had a mutual respect for each other because we have somewhat similar work ethics. Yours is crazy, but like we get each other, so we connect with each other in that way. And so I've always had, despite us being like rivals and going against each other and things getting a little competitive at times, always a big mutual respect for one another. Now, where I have grown in the last few years, I'm curious to see if you have as well, is I don't take everything so life or death seriously anymore. Like, yes, I have my goals. Yes, I'm driven. Yes, I work harder than the average person for sure. But I'm now realizing it's a long life. People matter. Making memories matters. Having fun matters. Cracking a smile and jokes matter. And like not taking everything so seriously all the time. All of that matters. So I've taken my foot off the gas a little bit in the last few years so as to have a happy life. Have you done that?
I mean, I think I've grown in the aspect that it's not just, I mean, I like to think basketball is like my life, but, I think I've expanded outside of that. where it's not 24/7, like straight thinking about. I think in high school, I was so locked in. Like I remember actually at Albany too, my freshman year, I would go shoot like in the morning. We'd have a lift at 7. I'd go shoot before our lift. So it'd be like 6 o'clock and I'd be at the gym shooting. And then we'd go lift. After lift, I'd come back and shoot again. And then I'd have class and all that stuff. And then we'd have practice. Then I'd come back later at night and work out again. My coach is like, all right, maybe a little too much, like 5 workouts a day is like a little crazy, especially when they're all like an hour and a half. So it's like, all right, it's just a lot of time. And I think my body was going to get like overused if I did that. So just realizing and like maturing in the fact that you got to have a balance, you know what I mean? Still can get your workouts in. That's not the problem. It's just like balancing like social life and girlfriend and family and friends, stuff like that. And just balancing it. Like you said, just realizing not everything's life or death when it comes to, life in general, and basketball, obviously for me, which anytime I lost, it was like the world ended when I was younger. So.
All right. Well, that's awesome. It sounds like you're doing well. I'm very happy for you and everything you've accomplished. You have an incredible career ahead of you. I know that. I've witnessed it. Wish you best of luck with everything with your team. I'm not even gonna try to say because I know I'll mess it up, but you're in the Spanish Basketball Federation. You're gonna win the title this year. You're gonna get promoted, and it's gonna go up and up in here. So thank you so much for joining me, Joe. It's good to see you.
Yeah, appreciate you having me. Thanks.
Thank you for watching today's episode of the Troy Farkas Show. If you would like more from me and my guests, head on over to thetroyfarkasshow.com for more podcasts, blogs, and videos. Be sure to drop a like on YouTube. You can subscribe to my channel. You can follow the show wherever you get your podcasts and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We would really appreciate it.